The next speaker will be János. János, please turn on your camera. So János is e-mobility expert from Hungary, and he has spent 20 years at the technical faculty of the University of Pest as a lecturer and researcher. Since 2009, he has been involved in understanding and promoting e-mobility and related procurement. From 2012, he focused on the emergent e-bus field. At the beginning of 2013, he joined the cabinet of the deputy mayor of Budapest, responsible for urban mobility as advisor on mobility. He took retirement by 2015 and became active in the consulting sector as senior advisor in CAI Consulting. And just to mention it, János, we also met János yesterday on his birthday. Thank you very much, János, that you take time to contribute to this event and also on your birthday and today. So we are looking forward to your presentation on new technology developments in e-bus production. So János, the floor is yours, or the screen.
Thank you very much, Marijke. Could we have the first slide, please? Great. So it's a pleasure to preach and talk about e-mobility and especially public mobility, especially in the town of Hamburg, which has been green capital of Europe, and in my view is an e-bus capital of Europe as well. My town, Pécs, has been the cultural capital of Europe and intends to be also the green capital of Europe sometimes, as well as e-mobility or e-bus capital of Hungary. We would like to change all our buses, which is the only means of transport, public transport in Pécs. We have already one successful tender, issued a second, third is soon coming. So we are very much preparing for e-bus future. And we also offer something to all of you, which is a special topography and a kind of a test track for buses, and that was on for centuries. Diesel buses always were trialed, tested in Pécs because of the various topography. Next, please. I think the aim of this group is support e-buses as part of the public transport system on the road, on the free track. And this kind of activity could be focusing on more than just vehicles. We have to deal with the e-bus ecosystem. The precondition for all of us is to try to prove that e-buses are not inferior technically to the buses. And if we reach that point, which is not yet reached, then we can get a bonus, an extra on sustainability. When arguing for e-buses, all economical, social, and environmental benefits are added a bonus to the main argument that we are equal. Our task is, I think, to convince the general public. There is quite a resistance on economical data and monitor data. Also to compare diesel to E on decisive requirements, and also to communicate, to spread the word and relevant knowledge against fake information. The challenges for us is, unfortunately, quite large or stimulating, if you like. We have to always compare e-buses to D-buses, but we have to agree that at the time, e-buses offer less and cost more. So technically, the range is smaller, the capacity of passengers is lower, service life is shorter, reliability is lower or less. The economical cost of the service life operation, the life cycle cooperation should be optimized. And there are several fake informations to fight against, like we need 30% larger e-fleet, or winter and hail are enemies, or vulnerability, reliability, unreliability, or we have to change the whole battery and that kind of information. Next, please. So there is a paradox situation. We need fresh information in a very quickly changing world. It's actually really change management. The disruptive nature of e-mobility is present everywhere. For the public transport operators and local authorities, I think the problems are, the challenges are that the information is very quickly devalued, losing importance. So therefore, they should be informed and state-of-the-art in the technology. But even further, we have to provide them foresight of the future, expected development, in order to our knowledge base becomes a future-proof one to rely on. And it's important for public procurement, being it services or purchase of vehicles. And then I relate to Sami's presentation on the importance of public procurement standards. These two relate to, first of all, we have to understand the state of the art and the future, and then with this knowledge, we should deal with the tenders. The sources of information are limited, unfortunately, within this pandemic time. Even 1.5-year-old information is already overlapped, outdated. I refer to Vincent's presentation on the solo test of solo buses, November 19. Single tests are carried out, but usually they are not informative enough because the test vehicles are a little bit old or run down and there is no monitoring. In the media, this is a problem because companies are sometimes selective, secretive, have contradictions in the information. So the hands-on exercise hopefully will be the next Buzzword Europe in October, and I hope that a tech webinar will deal with the innovation fund there. Next, please. Very, very quickly to put the vehicles into the ecosystem, and I'll be very short here with the vehicle size, range, the classes, the powertrain, the driving mode. Subsystems are important because some of them are especially promising for improving efficiency and the basics, which are passenger capacity and the daily range. Next, please. And I mentioned the human element, which is not a subsystem, but very, very important. Up to 15 or more % of consumption can be related to the skills and competence of drivers. It's a very, very important fact. Disruption. As chargers, very quickly, these are the classification, the technology, the performance output, the control, and the question of storage. A very important note on the bottom is that the charger devices or the system of this infrastructure is sometimes very expensive. And I have examples when there were over 40% of the vehicle purchase price. Next, please. Information technology is very important. We call them intelligent transport support systems. You can call it in another way. They could be provided either by the manufacturers or independent expert companies. They are modules which work together, cooperate, fleet control management, predictive maintenance, driver assistance, charging management, battery analytics, and depot and charging, if you like, energy management. There are some companies dealing with them, and this is a great opportunity to improve system efficiency of the ecosystem. So I call your interest to this field. And infrastructure, very quickly, bus shelters, of course, which can be smart, entertaining. Bus depots, they need to be changed, but we don't know yet how much the change is. And the future is probably also very much relying on energy company style. And the grid, of course, with the vehicle to grid option, bus fleets are great opportunities for cities to rationalize their energy development or management. Historically, there are basic approaches which already were mentioned by Sami. Large but cheap batteries, relatively slow charge in the depot. This is a minority group. The two camps are represented by two big names, I suppose, MAN for group 1, and for B, it's Mercedes-Benz. Quick charge, upcharge, smaller batteries, usually charging at terminals. There were the majority up to now, but the trend is changing. Here is an example of the topper class high capacity club, if you like, in Europe from last year. Some of the basics are mentioned and highlighted, and you see that the two companies are at the end of the characteristics. The verdict is that the future will be decided, and also there are specific requirements which will have an impact. Next, please. Yeah, game changers. We need a breakthrough because we are not yet on even terms with diesel. So there is a tender-driven approach for this. When the tender is disruptive or stimulating or demanding, and there are two examples, one for a MIDI to solo class in Poland, Polkowice, and you see the incredible requirements with air and the offer with battery consumption range and the price. The other was in Bonn for articulated, when again the very demanding requirements were given in the tender, and this is amazing. 12 years of stressful life for the PTO. And again, this is not theory, these are already contracted tenders. The technical specification is in evolution, not really revolutionary. You see the classes here, and I call to one disruptive company, which I highlighted with yellow. Next, please. Just for entertainment, a very early people mover, a school bus, a cool box, intelligent, ready for autonomous drive. Of course, these will be important in the future as blood circulation analog is to urban mobility. These are the first capillaries. Next, please. Minibuses have growing importance, and they already have elements of breakthrough. Already Unfortunately, not one of them is on the road or in operation, so there are promises. Here you see e-Versum, e-train from Austria, startup, very promising. Also, we know TAM from Slovenia. So they are brave innovators. Next, please. My favorite is coming from Holland, of course, Utrecht. Tribus, this is a slide already, which you have seen. Amazing interior is the breakthrough in my view, and also thermal management, thermal comfort management, heating, insulation, motor build-up, and the amazing large and flexible passenger space with no wheel arches. Next, please. Articulated e-buses are the largest challenge, and I think that we are lagging beyond the diesels here, but there are again elements of breakthrough, mentioning MAN with an incredible large battery capacity, a large range, of course, which is nearly meeting the 300 kilometer per day threshold. Passenger capacity is okay, and there are further improvements, like the driveline is up to 480 kilowatt, which is very powerful, and there are 2 driven axles, so that recuperation, which is important, is doubled. Next, please. I mentioned Solaris already in the tender chapter. They nearly up to MAN. They have high energy plus new batteries, and they also introduced the 3rd generation CO2 driven heat pump, integrating the heating, venting, air conditioning system. Next, please. In the solo field, that is probably the most attractive and sexy. We have up to 60 European manufacturers in Europe. Incredible for e-buses. The gap between e-buses and d-buses is smaller. Hopefully will be closed very soon, but no vehicle on the road yet. Brave innovators, this is a slide, Alstom, Aptis, and Yutong U12 is to be mentioned. And here is Castro Sua Nelek, which is a 3-day-old image of a newborn member of the family. The new eBussed, I think, is what we are waiting for, and there are some elements of the developments. And again, I have to go to the picture. The previous one and the present one are not at all inferior, even better than any D-bus. The inferior is very important. The flow of the passengers, the change of the passenger rate, the flexibility for arrangements. And these are some of the successes, if you like, the breakthroughs in eBussed. We hope that this year they will be on the road in Munich, not in Hamburg. Subsystems. We underestimate the importance of the subsystems in improving the efficiency and catching up with diesel. This is a dramatic slide from Convecta on how the integrated 3rd generation heat pump is compared to the electric heating. So you can see that savings up to 70%. So if you turn it into kilometers of range, it's amazing. Next, please. Trends, of course, we have to think about the future. The size will be continuous, the kind of chain of sizes and no borders. It will be modular, tailored to need, from people mover up to the 24-meter double articulated BRT buses. The body is changing. It's purpose-built, E-dedicated, totally low floor, light, spacey, flexible, insulated. Higher passenger capacity is possible. The battery, they are large capacity, but lower weight, high energy density, if you like, over 3,000 cycles, which allows us to have a higher daily range without more weight to sacrifice. The heating, venting, air conditioning system or thermal management is also a great opportunity for improvements. As you say, we can save a lot of energy here and have larger range. ITC is very promising for future mobility. Fleets cannot be manually controlled. They need the support of IT. And this is also a great leap forward with lower TCO, which is total cost of operation, in my view, and higher system efficiency. We have to think about the drivers as well. We mentioned them already. Human factor, which is not really a subsystem. We have to think about recuperation as well. The trends are over, and I summarize that from less for more money. We can hope that there will be more for less money, and higher quality of services, of satisfaction. Even I hope that mobility will be an experience. In German, I hope mobility als Erfahrung. Thank you very much for your kind interest, and very much looking forward to your question response.
Yeah, thank you very much, János. So there's also some discussion ongoing in the chat. And I think, János, your presentation also offered a lot of a good baseline for our workshop and also later on for our panel discussion. So thank you very much. With regard to the time, I propose that we will have questions related to your presentation later on during the workshop and the panel discussion, because I think it's also necessary for all to have a short break.